Ollie from Witterquick. Welcome to the Generation Hush. How are you, sir?
I'm very good. How are you?
Too bad. Long day at work, but that's what you get. Should we start a new track, Run? Just come out on self-release. How happy are you guys to have that out in the airwaves, shall we say?
Yeah, amazing. It was a long time coming, actually. We recorded Run, I don't know, maybe a year ago or something. And we've been through a lot of kind of turmoil and roadblocks and every other kind of hurdle you can imagine. So we went through a lot of points where we weren't sure if we'd ever get to release anything else again. So it's quite like having the launch yesterday, I think it was a big one because it's the first time that we weren't sure it was going to happen.
So it must be interesting because obviously a lot of bands you speak to kind of are sitting on it, but they're sitting on it for different reasons. They're sitting on it for kind of labels wanting to release it then or avoid these kind of release dates. So it's interesting to be sitting on it for a different reason, which I probably suppose means that it makes it even more special as a release.
Yeah, it does. This one's going to be a memorable one. I think it's the start of it's the start of a new phase. And like I said, we weren't sure if we were going to get to this point. So it's kind of like it's a beginning in a lot of ways, and just good for us to. I think we're all happy that it's continued. So it's going to be one that's going to be in the calendar for a while, I think.
Yeah, the special one. I mean, how have you felt about the reaction to it? Because looking at the old social medias and stuff like that, it looked like it's been a really positive reaction from the fans.
Yeah, it's amazing. We did a YouTube premiere. We chose to do it ourselves actually, rather than host it externally. And that was big. Like we've premiered stuff loads before. We've had a load of singles out in the past, but this one felt more personal because the premiere was like all of our hardcore fans all in one place, all listening live and commenting live with us. And it's kind of like, I don't know, it felt like everybody was there in a way. You know what I mean? Like we could kind of feel their excitement, and it was it was one of those big adrenaline moments, like when it kind of kicked in, because we've heard the song like 3 million times already, you know what I mean, like through recording and writing, and we've played it a couple of times, but so we know the big bits that we hope people will find exciting, and different lyric cues, and kind of seeing people go into those and witnessing their excitement firsthand live as it happened was that was a big adrenaline pump.
Yeah, because we were uploading something to the website YouTube the other day, and I noticed this premiere thing. I was like, this seems like a really good tool. And then to flick through your Twitter and see you're using that, like it's in, yeah, like you say, it's a real time. Like obviously, like a couple of years ago, you'd release a single, and maybe you'd start slowly having those things filter through on Facebook and Twitter and stuff like that. But like I say, it's there, and it's people literally listening at that point, which must be really kind of surreal to have. It's almost like a listening party, isn't it? It's almost
It really was, yeah. And our fans kind of they like to do that. And when we have regardless of premieres and things in the past, they like to do a listening party, and a lot of them, it's cool seeing them kind of bond, like over Twitter in particular. I think there's like a good network for communication there, and they always seem to kind of, if a track comes out at midnight, they'll always do like a little listening party, like a Witterquick listening group, and just all talk about it. And yeah, it's amazing seeing those things, but then being in it for this premiere it felt like something new. Like it was a lot more personal, which is hard to get these days, I think, with like what we're doing. But it was great to to be there and witness it.
Yeah. I mean, it's an important, it was something I'd noticed and I was going to bring it later, but it is an important part, I think, of being a band nowadays, is obviously having that social media interaction. I think, do you think there's enough kind of done by kind of the marketing people to show young bands how to do it properly? Because obviously you hear of these bands that kind of have issues, do you know what I mean? Like, where does the responsibility lie to kind of train young musicians how to kind of speak to fans and kind of interact with fans?
Oh man, I don't even know if there is. It's very much, I mean, it's a tricky one because in a lot of ways, I mean, everybody communicates on social media and, you know, Instagram and chat to all their friends and stuff and kind of like, I don't know, there's a weird cultural thing where everybody kind of has their own, what do you call it, like their identity, and they're kind of, they're promoting their self business even if they haven't got a business. So they're always kind of like recruiting new followers or making new friends and connections that aren't really, you know, it's weird, but in some ways that kind of prepares people for it in a way. But aside from that, if you're lucky enough to start have like fans around the world messaging you and communicating and sending you stuff and like buying you things, it's nobody prepares you for that. And I don't know, it sounds weird coming from us because we're not, you know, we're not Hollywood stars by any stretch of imagination, and it's a cliche thing. Like no one prepares you for fan interaction and you know how to talk to fans appropriately and you know not mislead them, but still have like a personal connection. And you know it's a minefield, and you hear it all the time that, you know, bands get in trouble for things, or, you know, some bands are like rude to their fans and don't appreciate them, don't give them the time, and others really, really do and are really dedicated to that. And it's just, I don't know, I think you can kind of see it, that some bands manage it, some don't as well, some make mistakes, but I don't know, it'd be kind of, maybe to get back to the question, I think.
I can't remember the question was.
Yeah, I just run off the wrong way. Yeah. Run. That's a little plug for Run there. I think it like bands and music artists that are taken on as development in some ways. I don't think there is a development deal anymore really, but ones that are taken on by bigger labels, I think will have a lot more guidance, and the managers will. There's probably an element of training and stuff there, or at least advice, or rules maybe is probably the better way to do it. But for every other band, I don't think there is, man. It's just do your best, you know.
Yeah, it's a strange world we live. I mean, everyone says it, you know, the pitfalls of social media, and obviously you guys clearly use it, you know, in the right way, which is obviously, you know, interacting with your fans positively and sharing your fans' positivity, which is, I think, a thing that not many people, you know, bands must get so many kind of positive comments, and I think just to go out of your way to retweet them probably means more to a fan than anything, you know, even though you've seen them, if you ignore them, but just retweeting them just means a lot to a fan.
Yeah. I mean, I don't want to, I don't know, I don't want to claim that we're in like some incredible position and doing the you know, better than anybody else, but no, we can say but, I mean, and like I'm not claiming that, but we're kind of in a situation where we still can kind of read every comment we get, just about. We're kind of on that pinnacle at the moment, but we do go out of our way to reply to fans, and like you said, retweeting them. It's a big thing. And like we're still fans, you know what I mean? Like we're fans of other bands, and like we know that feeling still. Like if someone you admire the art they're making, or like the movie they're in, or the music they make, if they interact with you, it's a big thing. So we know that, and we try and give that to as many fans as we can. And again, we're in the situation where we can do that still. But, but bands get to a certain point and you can't. The same as actors and stuff, like you get to a level and you just can't do it. So it must be, I don't know, it must be like so tough for them, like heartbreaking in a way, because they must do as much as they can. But if you've got an inbox that's like, 5,000 messages every morning,
yeah,
what are you going to do?
Too much. Right, we've just delved down a really deep social media rabbit hole somehow. Let's get back on track. This is, well, from what I can work out, is this the second time you've worked with Romesh on recording? I know you recorded the first EP with Romesh, and then this one's recorded. You may have worked with him in between that I've just not seen, but obviously you're back working with Romesh on this. I mean, what keeps bringing you back to working together?
We've done 2 EPs with Romesh, and a few acoustic things, and like you said, bits in between, and Run as well. I think it's a lot of things. He's the first proper producer that we've worked with, and that's it's a big experience, and it's a completely new experience. Like, just going to a recording studio and recording stuff is wildly different than going and working with like a recognized producer who really knows their trade, and they've got like a wealth of advice from a load of other bands that you're into and admire. But he's got the ear, and it's a great experience now. I forget how many times we visited him and worked with him, but we're at a point now where it's kind of, I don't know, it's like a true equal collaboration in a way. Like, everybody's comfortable to suggest things, and he'll come up with things that are incredible, and we'll come up with things that surprise him, and it's just a really good experience, man. But also, like, we kind of feel that we've done a number of EPs, and we recorded like so much with Ramesh up to this point that we thought like this kind of chapter would be good to continue. And we don't know what the future's gonna bring. We might work with somebody else. We might continue with Ramesh, but he gets our sound now, and through that collaboration, I think we've got something that's quite unique.
Definitely. I mean, in terms of the sound, I know you've stated in the past that you kind of pride yourselves on being unique. But I mean, in terms of what actually drives you musically on a day-to-day basis, I mean, where do your kind of influences lie, and where do you kind of take? It's clear that you take inspiration from everywhere, but are there any kind of bands that you kind of go, this is what I want to bring to Witterquick?
That's a tricky one. We all like really different stuff, actually. Like Sean, our guitarist, is into a lot of heavier metal bands, and he comes from like a big kind of metal background, but also a classic rock background, which is where like what my background is. I kind of grew up with a mix of classic rock and pop. And Will's into a load of we've all got a classic rock kind of link running through stuff, and it's nice to see that a lot of our fans and kind of critics and reviewers and things over the years have picked up on that not that we sound like classic rock, but I think you can feel something in there from that kind of era. But I mean, me personally, I don't know, I'm a big fan of kind of, like you said, being unique, but I like the pop angle with the kind of rock and the heavier edge and the 80s kind of synthy stuff. And I don't know, I think there's a lot of bands that we individually are inspired by, and all these other things that come into it, but we try and use that in a healthy way and don't try and replicate anything, But if somebody's like, oh man, this band's like really amazing, there might be like a little flavour of like a synth sound or something, and I don't know, not even that actually. It's just there'll be a vibe of something we'll like, and we might incorporate like that into something. But we've been firm from the start that we didn't want to replicate anything or copy anybody else in any way, because then you're not you. And in a way, it's the easiest thing to be you, because you're making stuff that only you can make. So you haven't got to kind of worry about anything else, you know?
Yeah. I mean, it's interesting, obviously, and especially it's great that you don't worry, because one of the things that just listening to the couple of tracks with my wife before she, and one of the things that I said was, this is really kind of pleasant rock. And then I thought to myself, that seems like in my head, because I've not kind of gone, you're in this zone or this genre or this genre, like it almost felt as though me saying it was pleasant rock was an offensive term. Do you think is there a stigma to kind of try and toe a specific line for bands? Like, to go where you're going to be unique, it must be really hard. Like, is there that stigma of like people going, well, you should be going towards that or that or that?
Yeah, there really is. I think there's a natural human thing in there anyway. Like everything kind of has to be categorized for people to be comfortable with it in a way. And maybe we're doing that wrong. Like I don't know. We've never felt like we've been in any particular genre, and we like to play around so much with different stuff, like Bubblegum that came out last summer. We weren't even sure about doing at all to begin with, because it's like it's like it didn't sound like us. We didn't think, and particularly like around the second EP was quite dark. So coming out with like a summary, we called it Bubblegum for that reason. It's like just really happy, poppy fun. It was weird, but then we thought we've kind of had this mentality that if we think the song is good enough, like if we all really like the song and we think it's got legs, then we'll put it out. Like whether it's acoustic or like a heavier kind of metal edged song or something dark, whatever else. But I don't know. There's a lot of bands you see that are very clearly a defined genre, and that may be a choice of theirs, or it might be accidental. I don't know, but we always just feel like we don't want to be restrained. It's not even being restrained, actually. We just want to make what we want to make, and sometimes we'll feel like doing something in the rockier edge, and sometimes we'll feel like doing something in the poppier zone, and just experimenting. And I don't know, like people seem to like it, so I don't know. It might be bad. We're not pigeonholed straight away into we don't fit on a shelf in a particular place all the time. But I don't know. Maybe the music industry is changing, so maybe it's a good thing, you know?
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, I think as long as you're growing as people, and obviously your fan base is growing, then there isn't necessarily a right or wrong thing. It's what works for you at the end of the day.
Yeah.
And what works as a band, you know. It's that whole selling your soul, you know, you don't want to sell your soul if it makes you unhappy, which is maybe going towards a heavier edge and kind of ignoring some of the stuff you've been enjoying having fun with.
Yeah, I mean, I was quoted in the early days, actually. I forget what interview it was, but the quote, I think, was if you're not doing your own thing, what's the point? And we had quite a strong belief of that, because like, what is the point? Like, it had this weird thought, like if you could earn millions and millions of pounds like doing music as a job and career, but when you're like 60 looking back from your Malibu estate and stuff, what do you think about? Like, do you think that you really achieved what you wanted to do, even though you didn't like create any of the music, or you were pushed in a particular way? Like, if you're not happy at the end of the day, I don't know, it's not really worth it for us, I don't think.
No, I can understand. I mean, I'm the same with kind of like my job. Like I'm about to start training to be a teacher because I'm happy selling stuff. But at the end of the day, I think when I look back in 40 years, if I'd have stayed lying in someone else's pocket for 40 years, I wouldn't have been happy with what I'd done. And it's the same with you probably go and record an album and lie in someone's pocket, but creatively you're not going to be fulfilled.
Yeah, that's exactly it. I think if everyone, maybe not everybody, but I mean, everyone's got like if you're creative, I think in particular, you have a constant pull to create. And I think if you aren't kind of satisfying that, then you won't be satisfied at the end of the day. And it's quite an important thing, I think, to do that. And it might not seem it like where you are now, I suppose, but when you're, well, like we both said, when you're on your deathbed or whatever, when you've retired, are you satisfied with what you created, what you contributed?
Exactly. We supposedly only get one go at it, so
that's it. This is a very philosophical, existential interview. I wasn't expecting that.
I know, I wasn't. To be fair, when I started writing questions, this is not where I was expecting it to go. Touring. Let's try and go down the class. Should we try and steer to the classic route? You're out on tour in about 2 weeks' time.
Yep.
Nice extensive, you like covering pretty much all the bases. Are you looking forward to getting out and playing some shows?
Yeah, it's been a while. We've done a few shows dotted around, but excuse me, I think we figured out weirdly that we hadn't actually toured properly for about a year. I don't know where the time has gone there. It's been crazy, but yeah, it's been good to go out and see everybody because it's been that long. And it's a great experience. Like, it's really cool. Similar to that premiere thing. Like, it's really great actually getting out and seeing a group of people which have now become friends, which is kind of another mind-blowing element of it. Like, a lot of the fans kind of, they talk in the background, and because they're all commenting on particular things, they get chatting and they go to the shows together and make little friend networks and stuff. But it's great to go out and see everyone smiling and crying, and it's a really unique experience.
It seems like a nice time to go out on tour as well, because I know, like, especially this time of year for us as like music reviewers, like, you just go autumn and spring are kind of like when everyone's gigging, and then you have this real lull where if you're not going to festivals, there's kind of nothing to do. So it's quite nice to see a band going out on tour during festival season and actually playing kind of club shows and kind of getting people out to music venues and not into fields for a day, for a night.
Yeah, I mean, it's actually kind of a no-no, like, to do what we're doing. Like, everybody says, like, don't tour over the summer because people are at festivals. But in a lot of ways, that's right. But a lot of people aren't at festivals, like you said. And a lot of people still want to go to the shows. And we have a lot of people come to our shows still. So it clearly doesn't bother them.
Yeah, I mean, like Tuesday, whatever, I don't know the exact days of the week you're playing with, like a Tuesday night in Leeds isn't going to affect someone who's going to Reading Festival on the Saturday. Like, it's another show to go to.
Yeah, absolutely. There's nothing wrong with choice.
Exactly. Yeah, the more choice, the better. I think that's about it. I've kind of hit everything that I wanted to hit. So, it's gone a slightly, like you say, existential way, but there you go.